Arizona, we have a problem, and it's Houston. We're going to talk about it all on the AZ Wildcats podcast in 30 seconds. Don't you go anywhere.
That one sucked, guys. Welcome into the AZ Wildcats podcast. I am your host, Damon Fairall, with my guy Kevin.
Yo, cut the beat, Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle, we
got producer Kyle back here, and usually I'm the one behind the Mac, but I had to tell producer Kyle to cut the beat today because we can't be rocking like that off top of the show, right?
Yeah,
it's not no happy club vibe. I'm not worried about who's calling my phone. I'm not worried about that.
We got to do something about that.
We do. We got to get some lost music.
We're going to get some lost music in here because I can't take that anymore.
No,
it just makes me want to dance, makes me want to party,
yeah,
move my body a little bit, Kevin.
Yeah.
And, instead I'm sitting here, I'm just depressed.
Man, lifeless in this chair right now.
This is Kevin Thomas. I was trying to introduce him earlier, but he had some, you had to cut the music for sure. And this is the PHNX Wildcats post-game show. Doing our thing. Arizona loses to Houston 62-58. And just a really, really tough one, Kevin. A game that Arizona was leading for probably 95% of, and just lets it slip away at the end, like the thumbnail says. So I guess just kind of initial thoughts off the jump. How you feeling after such a terrible loss?
Initial gut feeling after that game, I think, is exactly what I said to you after the game, Damon, was this is yet another game where Arizona, for better or worse, they got the dub against Iowa State, but this is another game that Arizona let it slip away. At the end of the game, just couldn't finish when it mattered most, and the other team did execute in the end game scenarios. Missing free throws, turning the ball over, that's not a championship mentality. That's not how you win a Big 12 title. And so I think, when you look back at this game, it was a hell of a game, great game. All credit to Houston. They did a hell of a job. I don't know if it's, Coug's house or not. I don't think it is. I think it's still McHale. But I will say this is a game that no one can blame for the loss except for Arizona, right? I think Houston, again, we're going to talk about their shot making. We're going to talk about their defense. We're going to talk about the toughness. But when Arizona leads this game for 28, almost 29 minutes, only sees 4 lead changes, and one of those lead changes took place with 3 minutes left in the game. And after that, it felt like it was over. And that's never what you want to hear with 3 minutes left in a game, in a 2-point game. And there's no one else to blame but Arizona in this one. So that's my initial gut reaction, that Arizona let it slip away. It was a hell of a game, but Arizona let it slip away.
Kyle, go ahead and solo shot me real quick for a second. Hey, Kenny, brother, we appreciate you being here. Please do not spam the chat. That will get you kicked out of here. So we, again, appreciate it. Talk your crap, man. You deserve it.
They earned it.
Houston's an incredible team. It's hard to be too upset about how the game played out because Houston is such a good team. And we watched it firsthand. I kept saying to you, I think this is the best floater team in America.
Whew.
Maybe the best floater team I've ever seen in college basketball with my own 2 eyes. And they just hit tough shot after tough shot. Obviously, we know about the physical defense, but yeah, Houston is a really, really good basketball team. Arizona, I think, is also a really good basketball team, Kevin. And Houston also is the best road team in the country.
Yes, they are undefeated.
Yes, they're undefeated on the road. They're one of the best road teams in the entire country, if not the best. And so, I think that McHale gets nullified a little bit in this game. I don't think it was the strongest showing from our crowd tonight. We were kind of commenting on it until later in the game, but Houston isn't a team that's going to be affected by the crowd noise that much. They're battle tested. They're just clearly good on the road. Kelvin Sampson knows how to get them right. So, that wasn't a huge factor in this, but Arizona doesn't lose home games. We hate to lose home games, Kevin. We talked about it. You predicted all undefeated Big 12 slate at McHale Center, and obviously this is a tough one to let slip away when you You had it. You had it right there.
Yeah. And, especially with the way that Arizona was playing for so much of this game, it felt like, yeah, this is a hell of a tough game. Arizona's kind of winning the toughness battle for the majority of this one. And then all of a sudden, Houston flipped that on Arizona, right? And they were the tougher team. They were kind of dictating what was going on in the game, which I think Arizona did such a phenomenal job of for most of this game, right? And I think when you talk about teams in the Big 12 that can go into your walk into your trap and take over your trap, so to speak. Houston's the leader in that group. You spoke to it. They're undefeated on the road and still, I hate saying that, and still undefeated on the road are the Houston Cougars. And this really felt like a game where Tommy Lloyd learned from the first time facing Kelvin Sampson, all the other Big 12 teams that Tommy Lloyd has faced this season. It really felt like Arizona was trying to apply some lessons, and it didn't work for the full 40. You got some performances from some players that you probably would have wished would be better. We're going to talk about that as well later. But yeah, Damon, this was a tough one, and Houston's one of those teams that they can walk into your house and just take your lunch money whenever they want to an extent, unless you go against the grain and say you're not doing that today, which I thought Arizona was doing for a long portion of this game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna obviously, like, I think what happens late kind of gets emphasized in your head. That's what people remember, but I'm not going to forget about that KJ Lewis 3-point attempt at the end of the game there. Down 4 points it was. I think there was like 12 and a half seconds left or something like that. And yeah, I mean, just a really, really bad shot that you don't need in that circumstance. And I think it begs the question. We've talked about this a couple times now, Kevin. Late in games, I don't like the way we play basketball at all. I don't like the game plan. I don't like the out of timeout play calls. That Jaden Bradley sidestep against Iowa State comes to mind. What we watched against Kansas State as well. Like, I just think that I don't know what it is. Kelvin Sampson's obviously, maybe the best coach in the entire country. So there's not there's not shame or anything in being maybe out coached by him, but I really do feel like we kind of got out coached late in the game. Like, I can't keep watching the offense falter like this late and not put a little bit of blame on Tommy. And I we love Tommy. Like, this is a Tommy podcast, but I think that is, we keep talking about it. I think that's the aspect of his game he needs to get better at, is the, on that possession. How do you not use your timeout there?
Yeah, you brought up a great point.
That's what we were talking about. I mean, Arizona's all over the place. The ball's kind of, the passes are a little bit lackadaisical. Caleb gets caught in the air, has to throw that one to Vasar that was, kind of iffy. And it was just like, I felt like this was clearly a possession that was, all over the place. You have a timeout left. You need points in that circumstance. You don't need a 3, but you have to score. And, Tommy doesn't use that timeout there. I don't really understand that. I just think he needs to get better at that kind of stuff. And I'm not even just talking about this season. I mean, in general, like, he's going to be the coach here for a long time. I need to see improvement when it comes to, the in-game coaching, especially late in games.
Yeah. And I think, it was kind of confounding, right? Because when you look at the first half stats for Arizona, and I'm just going to bring up some stats here, like 5 turnovers, 2 points off turnovers, 23 total rebounds, out-rebounded Houston by 8, and also 8-5 in the offensive rebounding category, but no second chance points for Arizona, only 2 for Houston, right? Now, points in the paint was tied 14-14. Now let's flip over to the second half really quickly, because this is shocking to me, right? Turnovers wise, 6-3 in favor, in majority for Arizona, 6-3 there. Points off turnovers tied 6-6. Tied in total rebounds pretty much 16-15. But this is where things really switched. 22 points in the paint for Houston, 12 for Arizona in the second half. Arizona, I'm not going to say they went away from points in the paint. I'm going to kind of give credit to Houston for making that adjustment and not letting Arizona get to the spots they really wanted to on the floor with as much consistency in the second half. But I think that Arizona's physicality waned in the second half as well. I'm not putting it all on the physicality, but I think when you're getting outworked in the paint, that's a physicality thing. Well, for the most part.
But I think watching the game, I didn't feel that they were being out physical.
No.
I felt that Houston was just making just tough contested shot after contested shot. I bet you those floaters go down as paint points.
They do.
So that's what I'm saying. How many floaters were we like watching? It was at least 4 or 5 that were from Cryer and what is it? Uman? Is that how you say it?
Uzan? No, it's Milos
Uzan. Milos Uzan, who, seems like he should be from Greece or something like that, but he's from
Crazy name,
He's from Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. But yeah, this is a situation where, I just feel like Arizona they were still playing hard. Houston just they earned the win at the end of the game. And it's not to say that I think Arizona maybe played better overall. They were leading for majority of the game for a reason, but Houston really they just didn't miss at the end. They were every possession. It was a made bucket for them. It was unbelievable to watch.
I'm with you, and we would be very remiss to not bring up what Joseph says here in the chat, that I don't know the missed free throws. The basketball and football guy follows it up and says
Very
it right
true.
there. 4 missed free throws at the end of the game.
That's when
in
you lose
crunch
it.
time.
Yeah.
When you're perfect before then.
That's when
10
you
for
lose the
10
game.
before, and I think it was 3 for 7 after that, something like that. 2 for 6 either way. That's unacceptable completely. The turnovers in crunch time, unacceptable completely. And that's kind of where I'm getting into my point of, I'm not saying that they got out physical so grossly that it was obvious and all that. But I think when you're losing the points in the paint battle, what happened there, I think, is up in the physicality in addition to the adjustments made by Kelvin Sampson. Not only that, but in the first half, I noted here, Arizona had incredible off-ball activity, incredible on-ball activity on defense, dribble handoffs, off-ball cuts, sneaky passes in the lane to big man.
Yeah.
That kind of completely went away.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where the physicality, I'm not saying it waned to a degree where Arizona was getting punked out there. Not at all. They were playing hard the entire 40. But what I'm saying is I think it did wane to a point where Houston was able to overcome it and dictate their game when it mattered most at the end with their own dribble handoffs and their own off-ball activity and those exact floaters that you're talking about. So I don't think that Arizona got bullied. I don't think that Arizona, didn't work for a full 40. But I just think that over the course of the full 40, Houston's physicality won out and Arizona's won for the majority, but not when it mattered most.
Yeah, I definitely feel you from there was no easy buckets at the end of that game. Everything Arizona was having to get offensively was very hard-earned, similar to Houston.
Yes.
Except Houston was making their hard-earned shots and Arizona was going on a scoring drought, which has become an absolute classic of this team.
Unfortunately, yes.
Maybe to Tommy's, disagreement, because he last time Erika Day brought it up to him in the press conference,
I don't know, Erika. I'll have to go look at the analytics on this one.
Well, usually you win basketball games when you score more points than the other team. That's what Tommy started doing, and it was like, dude, what are you talking about? We watch this consistently where Arizona goes on these 3 to 5 minute scoring droughts, and they're not totally scoring droughts per se because we do hit free throws in between, but they're field goal droughts. And it's because the half court offense is just not working, especially late in games, it feels like.
Totally agree. And that run that Houston made to really get themselves back into the ballgame, that 12-1 run, I don't know if it ended at 12-1, but when I tweeted it, it was 12-1. And Arizona had gone at that time 4 minutes and 47 seconds without a made field goal against Houston.
Prior to that, up 7.
That's against Houston. I understand that you can't do that in any game. I'm the biggest proponent of this. I've been saying it ad nauseum every post game that this happens, but especially against Houston, you cannot go almost 5 minutes without a basket.
Yeah.
And this is what we talk about when we talk about Arizona lacking a bread and butter offense, Arizona lacking a reliable half court scoring option. We understand, Tommy Lloyd, that half court offense is harder than transition offense, right? But it's this cannot be some regular thing that every team across the country is dealing with, and you just have to overcome the 5 minute random scoring drought in the game. This is an Arizona problem. And so I don't know what the solution is offensively. I'm not the basketball genius that Tommy Lloyd is, right? That's their job as the coaches and the assistant coaches. But my job as a fan and a pundit on this show is to watch the games and tell you all what's happening as the way I see it. And the way I see it is way too many 5 minute stretches without buckets for Arizona across way too many games at this point for us to not have a broader conversation about what is really going on in the half court when Arizona needs buckets the most. Not in the first half, in the second half. Because this is the first time all season that Arizona's lost a game leading at half. Let's talk about that too. Because this half court offense is a big reason why Arizona broke that streak today.
That was beautiful. Kyle, did you feel that? I'm getting emotional.
I'm tearing up over here.
Yeah, I'm getting emotional.
Dude, we're fighting for a tournament here.
I know, dude.
And we can't score for 5 minutes? We got a 7-footer in the paint. We can't get a layup?
Brother.
We got one of the best scorers in the nation in Caleb Love, and we can't find an open mid-range? We can't get a... Brother, Caleb Love, I love you, my guy. I'm not trying to do this to you right now, but I'm just illustrating a point. One of the best scorers in the nation, 1 for 8 from 3, still shooting them. I don't know.
We got to figure that out.
We're gonna talk about Caleb Love because he had a great game. I'm not trying to focus on that, but I'm saying when I'm talking about this half court offense, there are way too many talented offensive options on this team for Arizona to not have a reliable go-to set when they need it. When you just need one bucket, you don't need to go on a run. You just need to quiet them down for one bucket. Credit to KJ Lewis for drawing that foul that was never called, by the way.
Yeah, that was an egregious no call. And yeah, I mean, Tommy let the refs hear it after that one, and he doesn't do that very often. So you know that it's a bad call when Tommy Lloyd's in a ref's ear just giving it to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was I did think that some of the calls favored Houston. I will say that. It wasn't game one and lost by the referees, but I did think that they were at the end of the game in this scoring drought that we're talking about. I thought that they were allowed to play extremely physical.
It was yard ball for sure.
It was. And that's
ball.
that is what the NCAA tournament will be. So I mean, it's good. It's good setup for that. You hate to lose the game, but I think that we can take some positives away from this. Houston is and I keep saying it, but I think that Houston's the best team in the country.
Better than Auburn.
I just think that I think that Houston. I've said that for the last 3 to 4 years every year. I just think that they're. If you played them against any team, they'd win majority of the games. Like if you played, they'd win 6 out of 10 minimum. I'd say about, or maybe 5 out of 10 against somebody. But I just think Houston is so damn good, man. They're so consistent. They make tough shots. They're so experienced. And then you watch their guards tonight. That was the difference in the game. Their guards outplayed Arizona's guards tonight. Milos Uzan and LJ Cryer, who had a very bad first half, just came alive in the second half, Kevin, and he just started hitting tough threes, hitting a couple floaters. And yeah, I mean, they end up with 19 and 15 points respectively between those two. And yeah, I mean, the 2 leading point scorer for the team tonight. And 19 and 15 is that's a lot of points when they score 62 as a team. You got to factor that into account, how slow paced this game was. But that actually brings up another point I wanted to bring up to you, Kevin. I said this on a couple of those previews I did with our guy over at Locked On Cougs, and I also Parker Ainsworth, and I also did another hit for a betting show. And I said that the way I envision this playing out, I don't know. I think Arizona could win this game. I think they probably should have won this game based off how it played out. But what I did feel pretty confident about was that Arizona was going to play to Houston's style, play to Houston's pace. And I feel like Tommy Lloyd and Arizona do that a little bit too often, Kevin. Whatever the way the opponent wants to play, that's how we're going to play basketball. And I don't really understand that because Arizona's a good enough team where they can dictate the pace, they can dictate the flow, especially at home, especially at McHale Center. In a packed house in a big game. Like I don't really understand why every single time Arizona starts playing to the exact game plan of the opponent. I thought Kansas State was the exact same way. What say you?
I think I agree with you on that take. I think Arizona does have a problem with somewhat falling into whatever trap the opponent wants to play tempo and pace wise.
Yeah.
I thought tonight was a different story until the last. And I understand that the possessions were long and all of that. And I understand that that's not necessarily the game that Arizona desires to play, but I think Arizona found success in transition in the first half as well. Like I think that they were able to find a pace that felt almost like a compromise between the two teams, right? It was super slow paced and it was very much of a slog, right? And I agree. But it almost felt like Arizona was so ready for that kind of a pace that it felt different than a K-State game or an Iowa State game where it felt like the other team was kind of just telling you what to do and then you were saying, I'll jump how high. I think this was a situation where Arizona was ready to negotiate the tempo of this game because you can't really speed up Houston. You really can't. So I think your take is
more
solid.
About your own offense rather than speeding them up on offense. But
but I think your take is true, and I think it's a valid one. I just think tonight was a different example of it. It's still under the same umbrella though, so I think you're right. I agree with your take.
Lost Highway here in the chat says we have no perimeter shooting. Everyone sags off of JB and KJ. Nobody sets up Delhi. Well, and that's certainly a problem too, right? Delhi is your 3-point shooter. He can't play in games like this.
Well, can I talk about that for a second? Because I was actually going to bring this up later in the show. I wanted more Delhi shots, actually.
No, I'd love more Delly shots.
'Cause
He's
it's
2
not
for
like
3, 1 for 2 from 3. I mean, I just think that like Tommy's like, I can't play this guy defensively against this team. It's such a bad matchup from that perspective.
it just felt
really
like
is.
it just felt like early that he wasn't getting like violated defensively to a point where it was so bad you couldn't play him. Excuse me. I think like for him to only get 10 minutes, or sorry, that's in the first half. For him to in general only get 14 minutes, 4 minutes in the second half after starting the game off for Arizona, incredibly well. He was in Arizona's entire first 5 points, I think. And so I think to not let him get more than 3 shots off when he's 2 for 3 and he looks like it's going to be a kind of a hot ADO night, that felt like a mistake to me. But I'm not trying to say that's the reason Arizona lost by any means. But I do think when you're talking about like they don't have any perimeter shooting, you're not really giving yourself a chance by sitting ADO for most of the second half in a game that, again, here we go, you lost by less than 5. So I think like when Jaden Bradley's, again, he's asked to do a lot. Rebound, facilitate, play great defense. I'm not, saying he needs to shoot the lights out too, but he can't put up 4 points on 1 for 6.
Yeah,
Can't do that.
This was probably Jaden Bradley's worst game of the season. We talked a little bit about this pre-show, but it's just like I mean, he's been so consistent game in and game out. It's hard to like be upset with the guy who's played his first bad game. What is this? 25 games into the season essentially. And yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but yeah, Jaden Bradley, he didn't play a good game tonight. He got outplayed by his counterpart on the other end. And I thought his defense was obviously good. He always brings it defensively, but that 3 he missed, I think that's the game right there. That 3 he missed at the end after Carter hit the 3, Arizona's down 1, and then I think Houston might have scored, but Jaden gets the ball on a wide open shot and just it's not really even close. And he's just not a threat from the outside right now. It really doesn't, like, I feel like him taking a contested 3 versus a wide open 3 is essentially the same thing. I don't sit there and when he takes a wide open 3, I'm not like, oh, that's cash because he's wide open. Like I might with like a Carter Bryant, for example. But yeah, he's struggling a little bit from a shooting from the perimeter perspective. And I do wonder if that will hurt Arizona, especially because their other guards, and I'm counting KJ Lewis as a part of that. Caleb Love, KJ Lewis, Jaden Bradley, none of them are threats from the perimeter right now. None of them are 3-point threats. I think you got to guard Caleb Love. You got to respect it, right? But he's not making shots right now.
He's not.
So, it's in modern basketball, it's tough to win basketball games sometimes against like high quality opponents when your 3 guards are your backcourt essentially is gonna shoot 1 for 10 and 0 for 3. So they're 1 for 13 from the 3 of them from 3.
My word.
Just not good enough from your guards there from a shooting perspective. And that's where it begs the question, should ADO have seen more minutes?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I feel you there.
Because the outside shot threat is a complete house of cards, right? Because if everyone's healthy, everyone's playing equal opportunity to get their touches, right? You got ADO, Caleb Love, we'll include Bradley and Lewis. And if you want to throw Carter Bryant in there to make it an even 5 shooters, you can. But let's go through them. KJ Lewis, not fully healthy on his shooting hand. That's not going to like produce any better benefits shooting wise. I mean, he shot 0 for 3 tonight. A couple just, with all due respect to KJ, a couple really rough looks. One hit the side. Off the one was an air ball from the mid-range, I think. Like, it just wasn't working with the way that his wrist was looking tonight. Like, I don't know if that's really what happened, but I'm assuming that's what happened. Carter Bryant, still just a freshman, right? So he's going to be up and down inconsistent shooting.
Yeah.
ADO, he's definitely the most consistent just shooter, but he can't play any defense. So how, like you said, how long can you really keep him out there? Caleb Love, our guy, our sweet prince, he can... Honestly,
just doesn't have it for
the
some
announcer.
reason.
The announcer. I forget which one of them said this. It was either Dave Pash or Fran Fraschilla, right? That's who was on the call tonight, I think. But
what a team!
Yeah, it was a pretty decent team. But I was gonna say, like, they had a great comparison of Caleb Love to a baseball player who hits 40 home runs, but also bats like 225. And it's just like, okay, he might smash this one 450 feet to dead center, but also he might strike out on 3 pitches.
Yeah,
and I think like we're getting a lot of strikeouts from Caleb Love from 3. And so yeah, and Jaden Bradley, he's open 3-point maybe threat. And so I think like
I don't even think you could say that.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe an open 3-point threat. Because even then he's probably going to look to drive, right? And so Arizona's shooters are only on paper for the most part. That's why I'm saying it's a house of cards, right? It's a weird talented, but like not very finessed group right now. And when you're shooting a combined 5 for 23, in fact, Damon, should we just go to by the numbers? We're talking so much about numbers.
You're reading my mind, brother. 21.7% from 3 for the team.
Let's show these by the numbers here. Presented by DFCU, our friends over at Desert Financial, the number one credit union in the Valley for sure.
Arizona, according to Forbes.
And according to Forbes, I mean, that's a pretty nice company. I don't know if you believe what they got to say, because I do. Forbes is very reputable. But these numbers, damn is really all you can say here, because you out rebound them, right? And you might be like, hey, where's the stocks? Well, we're going to get to the stocks here in a second in a new segment. But 37% field goal for Arizona. That's not going to win you many games. 43% for Houston, 22% from 3, 29% from 3 for Houston, 14 assists for Arizona to 11 assists for Houston, 11 turnovers for Arizona to 7 assists for Houston. What stands out to you, Damon?
The rebounding number, I mean, that makes you happy, right? Like, obviously, we went into this game thinking to ourselves, gotta win that rebounding battle, right? We talked about it a lot. Yep. The way Houston, the way that they play basketball and they limit possessions, right, for the opponent. Rebounding is such a key component of getting those extra possessions and extra shots versus a top 5 defensive team in the entire country. So yeah, I mean, I think that 9 rebounding margin there that Arizona won by is that's pretty impressive. But outside of that, it's the shooting from outside. Joseph puts here in the chat, I don't know if that's exactly right, but it's around that number. It
feels really right.
Yeah, no, it's around that number. I mean, he says he thinks, that's why I was like, I believe him. But 7 for 40, he says, in the last 2 games. I mean, it's been really, really bad. Arizona hits 5 of those tonight, by the way, which is like 2 against Kansas State. But when you're at home, you can't really miss shots like that, Kevin.
No.
You can't miss 3-point shots like that at home, no matter who the opponent is. And that's concerning to me. What about you? What stood out?
What stood out to me, honestly, was the rebounding, but you did take that as well, so I'm not gonna. Did
I take both the things you would have talked about?
I think so, but it's
Ball
okay.
Knowers.
It's okay, because me and Damon are just on the same page like that. But I want to talk about second chance points and turnovers. Right, Arizona, I think, did a better job taking care of the ball tonight than they did today. I mean, so used to late tip offs them, today than they usually have recently, especially against K-State. And you and I talked about how important turnovers were going to be in this game, because every turnover is pretty much a point to Houston at some point. And so, yes, Arizona could have done a better job taking care of the ball in certain critical moments in this game. But overall, I was pretty happy with the way Arizona was taking care of the ball, because Houston's very tough on the ball. So you're going to have moments where you look a little shaky. But yeah, if you looked at all these stats pretty much outside of the shooting stats and told me who won this game, I think I would have said Arizona had a great chance at winning this game, because they lead in bench points by 18, right? They did get outscored by 10 in points in the paint. And like Damon said, I think probably those 10 points are the 8 of the 10 points are probably floaters. And the shot making was just off the charts unbelievable from Houston to end this game. Which was, hats off to them for sure for that. That was hell of a performance from them. But overall, Damon, I think, the points in the paint and the turnovers for me, I think what stands out outside of, the things we already mentioned, because Arizona gave itself a great chance to win with the way it was playing and just couldn't finish it out. Houston outscores them by 9 in the second half. So you lose by 4, and that's honestly the story of this one, numbers wise. But yeah.
Well, Kevin, you teased it a little bit. We got a brand new segment we're going to debut. But first, we're going to talk about some fine sponsors on the AZ Wildcats postgame show.
Vroom, 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 vroom. Get ready to rev your engines in the new $350,000 Lamborghini Lux giveaway. Now, I'm a Lambo fan myself, so I might have to get in on this one. Play to win every Friday in January and February. You have a chance to win cash, free bonus play, or qualify for a grand finale drawing of that Lamborghini Lux. Weekly drawings. Join us every Friday at 7 p.m. over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos for exciting drawings. Grand finale. You can join them for the grand finale on Saturday, March 1st, 3 days before my birthday, at Wild Horse Pass, where one lucky winner will drive away with a Lamborghini, Damon. I would love to see myself bumping that new Drake album in the Lamborghini. Who's calling my phone? Who's calling my... Anyway, don't miss your chance. This is your opportunity to experience the thrill of luxury and speed. Visit every Friday for your chance to win big. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details, or check out the link in our description below.
Were you like a Lambo poster guy when you were a kid?
Nah, I wasn't. If I won the Lambo there, I would definitely get me on a poster. And
I feel like our guy Kyle Cooper back there. Kyle, you were a
he
car
strikes me as a Chevy
guy,
and
right?
Ford guy. He's a Chevy and Ford guy.
I'm not a car guy, really.
Really?
Whoa!
I can appreciate
Upset of the damn year. Upset of the damn year. I'll tell you what. If you're looking for maybe upset of the year, how about Phoenix Raceway? They got a race coming up. You talk about revving your engines, Kevin.
Vroom, vroom.
Some engines will be revved in the Estrella foothills. One of the most scenic backdrops in all of NASCAR. And it's going to be electric. They got all the drivers going out and competing, 40 of them. I mentioned them on the last one, and you were like, hey, Damon knows tire like that, bro? I do. Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, and, of course, Joey Slogano, my personal least favorite driver. Because I'm a Hamlin guy, and they beef a little bit. I don't know if you knew that.
Shout out to Mark Hamlin.
Getting you in on a little bit of NASCAR talk. Just to set you up and maybe you can get your on one side of the allegiance when you head out to Phoenix Raceway March 7th through 9th. Going to be an electric time. We were out there last year and it was tons of fun. So head on over, get your tickets now at phoenixraceway.com.
Well, Damon, I did tease it during our By the Numbers segment, but we've been talking about it all season. How
it's
Arizona,
worse. It's worse. Joseph said it's 7 for 45. It's even worse than 7 for 40.
Gee, thanks, Joseph. This is why, I mean, we love you, but also, man, damn, dude. Damn. Gotta stop while we're ahead sometimes. I appreciate you fact checking yourself. That just hurts. Yeah, we're getting cooked from the beyond the three, but we're not cooking. But look,
I'll tell you who cooked.
Who did cook?
Our guy Noah Woolbrecht.
Oh my goodness! Our guy Noah.
This new segment.
So, like we said all season, we've been talking about the stock market. Arizona dominates the stock market. Not today though.
Yep.
But we're gonna take it to the Sonoran stock market and look at this. We got ourselves a little ticker here. So Arizona there at the top.
Damn.
3 steals.
We can't win anything.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's not very pretty. 3 steals for Arizona, 4 blocks for a total of 7 stocks. Houston winning the stock market by 3 with 7 steals and 3 blocks today. I mean, honestly, closer than it looks because of the steals discrepancy. But in a game that's physical, I would love if Arizona could come away with like 2 more steals, right?
3 steals is not enough.
Right, in a game that this was physical.
Not the way that this team, their brand of basketball, the way Jaden Bradley, Caleb Love, KJ Lewis, the way that Carter Bryant, the way this team swarms defensively, 3 steals is not nearly enough.
No.
You're right. That's a big miss there on Arizona's part. And yeah, I mean losing the stock battle. That almost feels worse than losing the game, Kevin, at this point.
I mean, it hits the pride way harder because, like,
it's like you lost the game, but
clearly.
But then I'm waiting on the stock market graphic, thinking like, well, we probably won that. We always win it, and then you showed up on screen there, and it's just I'm screaming, nightmare.
It's unfortunate in a game, especially decided by as few of possessions as this one was.
Yeah,
that Arizona couldn't literally steal some of those possessions away and come away with a victory, and you let Houston have a couple more possessions at it, and they make you pay for it because they're going to make shots. And can we talk about that really briefly, Damon? I know we got a player of the game to get to here in this segment, but I have a little predictor I want to talk about as well. I threw out there, but I just want to talk about the incredible shot making by Houston's guards down the stretch of this game.
I don't want to talk about it.
You're gonna. You might not want to say much because of that. But you can listen for a second then, because the shot making was incredible. Damon was like listening to me like react to this game, and I think it was like every other possession for Houston. I was like, tough shot.
Yeah,
and it would go in. That's a tough shot.
It went shot.
In. A tough shot. It's a good shot though. What are you gonna do about
eventually, I turned around and I just said, Kevin. You said that like maybe 5 possessions in a row, and you're like, I know,
yeah. And it's just like every shot they're making is incredible. Like it's all off balance floaters.
Yeah, dude, it was insane.
Just contested fadeaway jumpers, and
running around a screen, getting a DHO on a 3, and like taking it kind of on the run, moving to your side. Like they were hitting everything, man. That's the kind of stuff that wins you these kind of games, right? Like having and you said it like Arizona. I'm not trying to like call you out like this, but you were kind of Damon was reacting in the moment and saying Arizona doesn't really have guys that can do this for us. Just go get shots that are tough, right? I feel like we've, other than Caleb's floater in this game at the end of the shot clock, I told you while we were watching it, I don't know that Arizona's made a single other floater this entire damn season.
Yeah.
It certainly doesn't feel like it, Kevin. I feel like we've talked about it. Everything's front end. Yeah. Everything's front end on those floaters. And meanwhile, Could Houston have were those the most money shots you've ever seen?
Goodness.
I'm not even sure any of those even touched rim.
Yeah.
Those were insane. I'm not going to get over that. I talk about nightmares with the stock market. That's a joke. This is actual nightmares. If this comes back to cost Arizona the Big 12, or at least, we'd be tied right now if Arizona had pulled this game off and beaten Houston like they probably should have. Yeah, I mean, those shots are gonna give me nightmares looking back on it if it's a 1-game difference in conference there.
And you talked to this earlier a little bit, but I wanted to just kind of cementify. That's not a word. I wanted to just cement some statistics there.
Cementify.
Yeah, cementify. It sounds like a weird off-brand villain, Cementify. Anyway, Cryer and Uzan, you alluded to it. He's shaking his head because I'm corny. 19 and 15 points respectively. Jaden Bradley and Caleb Love, we just didn't really reach across the box score here. 17 for Caleb Love, 4 for Jaden Bradley. The two backcourts from a shot-making perspective could not have been on a different page. They could not have been on a more different chapter. Caleb Love in the first half was awesome. In the second half, didn't really find his shot. Caleb Love, 1 for 5 in the second half, 0 for 3 from 3, 4 for 4 from the free throw line in the second half, which is encouraging. We were talking, that's all we really want to see from Caleb Love is him being aggressive, and by God was he aggressive today, trying to get down to the hoop. I really had a lot of respect for that. But on the other side of it, both of their lead guards were doing the Caleb Love thing for Houston today. And when my response to Damon when he said that was, I agree that Arizona doesn't really have these heat checky, tough shot makers outside of Caleb Love, and he's not doing that right now.
He's missing.
So Arizona doesn't have it at all, and Houston has 2 of those guys.
Yeah.
And it just felt like a mountain that was hard to climb once you let Houston take the lead, because they're just going to keep your foot on their neck or keep their foot on your neck and keep making tough shots and not letting you get open looks.
I mean, Uzan was good for the whole game, but LJ Cryer had a pretty rough first half. Can you find his first half statistics?
Yeah, I got you. First half statistic for LJ Cryer: 5 points, 2 for 5 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, no rebounds, 1 assist, 2 turnovers in 16 minutes.
Really quiet. Negative turnover to assist ratio, or the other way, assist to turnover ratio. But yeah, I mean, that's not a good half from a guy who's one of the better guards in all of college basketball. And I mean, that was the recipe, right? You can't let them you can't let both those guys just get everything that they want and start feeling it a little bit. But unfortunately, LJ Cryer found his shot in the second half, and that basically spelled the end for Arizona. That was the difference in the game there.
Second half for LJ Cryer: 10 points, 4 for 7 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 2 fouls, no turnovers in 19 minutes in the second half.
And he was those shots were tough shots, man. Those were not. I mean, that was honestly I would have thought it was maybe even a little better than that.
Yeah.
But they
felt like multiple points because they felt like multiple shots.
They were backbreakers. And any time that you're in a game that's 62-58, a 3-pointer feels like 10. That's the reality of it. Especially the way this team's shooting the basketball right now. But yeah.
Can we talk about my Caleb Love thing I sent out on Twitter the other day?
Let's do it.
So I had an ephany the other day, chat.
I should have said no.
It was you're right.
I should have been no. We Kevin, I nixed that. We're not talking about.
I just felt like for accountability, I feel like I needed to do this. I can't tell people to bookmark it and then hide if Caleb Love in Arizona loses. But Caleb
chance we're playing this on the show if he wasn't semi close to it.
I would probably just tweet it and be like, so that was awkward.
He's talking about he wants to be transparent. No chance if Caleb had a 8-point stinker, no chance we're showing this graphic.
Okay, I think we show it on the show if it was either so bad that my prediction was awful or so close or yes, it happened.
You were close.
Otherwise, if it falls in that middle, I'd probably just hold myself accountable on Twitter. Point is, I said huge game for Caleb Love on Saturday, 20+ points, 4+ assists, 5+ boards, and 3+ made threes. And then Caleb Love ended up coming really close to that. Here are his stats for the game today. He had 17 points, 7 assists, 4 boards, and also, regrettably, unfortunately, our sweet prince went 1 for 8 from 3, falling just 3 points shy of my points predictions, shooting 1 for 8 from 3. Really hurts, Damon Dog.
Because if he hits one of those, this game could be completely different.
If he hits 2 of those, my prediction is banging. And Arizona wins.
But I'm saying, I bet you if he hits one in that second half, this is a different basketball.
No,
game,
I'm totally with you on that.
Because Arizona just needed a bucket.
I'm totally
Kevin,
with you on
a
that.
bucket on that 12-1 run.
Yeah.
If they could have just gotten
A
one
silencer.
bucket, or KJ Lewis getting a foul called in his favor, which obviously didn't happen. And speaking of, I did want to bring it up, and I'm sure once we bring Erika Day on and just kind of get Tommy's post-game thoughts and see what players talked, what they had to say. But yeah, I mean, Tommy said it apparently in the Tommy's not a guy to go after refs. He made a couple comments today about how he thought that the whistle was not great.
Tommy Lloyd did.
He did
Oh,
indeed.
wow.
And so
damned.
yeah, that's you don't see that too often.
You don't.
From Tommy Lloyd. Let's see if I can find exactly
Pretty
what
reserved.
he said here.
Pretty reserved guy.
We might get that clip as well on our post game. But yeah, he just let's see.
Was there?
here.
I mean, while you're looking
Yeah,
at that, I want to talk about because we're talking about like how the refs might not have been on Arizona's side. Arizona shot how many more free throws is this? 8 more free throw attempts than Houston did. Like I'm not totally disagreeing with Damon Dog. I think that there were a lot of calls in this game that Arizona's getting like really physically played on the other end, and then Arizona's playing the exact same level of physicality on the Houston end of the floor, and it's getting called differently. So I do see where Damon and Tommy Lloyd are coming from this. I just didn't have that feeling watching the game. I kind of just accepted it for being yard ball. Like I just thought this was going to be up and down, physical, knock you down, push you over again after that, and hope my team can score before you get back up. Like I think that's kind of what this game was, right? And so yes, while Tommy Lloyd, I'm sure, is very upset with the referees because he is the coach of this ball club and he wants his team to be refereed fairly and he wants to be given a chance to have a fair game. But when you're playing Houston, and I'm not saying that they cheat or they're not playing fair, but I'm saying when you play Houston, it's going to get physical and the refs are going to be put in some really tough spots to call stuff or not call stuff. You know what I mean? Like when the game is that physical, we talked about it the other day. When you start here, it's hard to like come down and but you can't let the whole game be played here. So the refs are in a tough spot when you're refereeing a team like Houston versus a team like Arizona, who they're just gonna go at it for 40 minutes, and you kind of gotta pick your battles, right? As a referee, I'm sure you do.
I mean, KJ Lewis, he's extremely physical as well.
Whew.
Like and he probably gets away with a lot because he's known to be a physical player. He's known to be a very great to elite defender. So I think that that there's something to be said about that. And Houston is a team that is known to be super physical, so they're gonna get away with a little bit as well. But yeah, I mean, I just didn't like some of the, I don't know, man. It was, I felt that you could have called a lot more fouls on layups and dunks, that Arizona had. Yes. Because this guy, Tugler, who
with the saber-toothed tiger sideburns,
with the worst sideburns that the sports world has ever seen. I mean, all-time bad sideburns on that man. And I can't believe we're 42 minutes into the show here, Kevin, and we haven't spoken about the sideburns yet. That's unbelievable.
I'm not gonna lie to you. 42 minutes sounds about right for sideburn talk after a top 15 match.
I think that should have been the cold open. Did you see them things? And then just go straight to the countdown. Did
you see them things? It's crazy.
Yeah, but
oh my word,
Tugler with the worst sideburns in the history of sports, and then dude, he's undercutting every single layup and dunk, man.
Really could he actually
dangerous type of plays, and like there was one of them where like KJ doesn't. I think it was KJ Lewis doesn't finish the dunk, and it's like, yeah, I get it, no easy buckets, make him shoot free throws.
Yep.
But dude, it was dangerous. He came straight from behind, undercut his legs, like really could have hurt him bad. KJ was slow to get up, if I remember correctly, on that one. And yeah, man, I just I wasn't happy with that. I thought they could have really called some and one type stuff there for Arizona on those. And I just thought that there was Houston was allowed to do things like that. There was the loose ball situation where Toby Walker got his third foul that I also was not happy about. A similar scramble where the ball's loose on the floor, people are diving all over the place, happened 2 possessions prior to that, Kevin.
Yeah.
And ADO gets, as I put on Twitter so eloquently, stiff-armed like Derrick Henry into the core of the earth. And all of a sudden, that's not a foul, but then Toby Awaka doing the same thing, and I would say in a much less physical manner, he gets whistled for it. So I just thought that the refs were allowing Houston to be a little bit more physical, and, it is what it is. But yeah, Tommy said that it wasn't the reason for the loss tonight. But he definitely thought that there was some calls that didn't go in Arizona's favor, which I think is fair. I think that's exactly how I view it as well. Laws of Human Nature, not happy, says Lloyd flopped in this game, completely exposed, especially at the end. I think I agree with that. I thought that Kelvin Sampson kind of coached circles around Tommy Lloyd at the end of this game.
Can I play the middle here a little bit? Not to be that guy, but can I play devil's advocate for Tommy Lloyd here? I think flopped is a bit strong, and I think completely exposed is also a bit strong. But I think the foundation and the feeling. Yeah. But I think the foundation and the feeling of what Laws of Human Nature is saying is totally valid, right?
Brother,
I think
you do a show with Damon Dog.
I know.
You know that you should be. Exaggeration is. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's the price of of sitting in this chair right here. But I think that like Tommy Lloyd's game plan to start this game was phenomenal.
It was
because he can't play for the players, right? So I think the tenacity that he had Arizona playing with, the level of intensity he had set them at, he had turned the dial to the proper amount. They weren't playing too physical. They weren't making dumb fouls, except for the first one on Tobe Awaka was really silly. But other than that, not too many dumb fouls in the first half from what I saw. Not too much over physicality, not too much under physicality. The pacing was good. The ball movement was awesome. The sets were good. The off-ball cuts were incredible. And so I think, again, it comes back to in-game adjustments. Kelvin Sampson.
Which is the problem with Tommy Lloyd and where things are, where my biggest question marks are. And that's what Kelvin Sampson came out of halftime and changed the game.
Yes.
Tommy, I don't know if he thought that it was going to be exactly the same as the first half
I doubt it.
Or what, but I'll tell you what, like that especially that no timeout. That's egregious. Yeah, that can't happen.
That possession that, I mean, Damon knows I was sitting here. I was going to pull all my dreads out because I was like, there's no way.
I hate it.
Yeah, I think I repeated that like 10 times.
Yeah.
Because the dribble handoff between Caleb and Henry was a mess. Mm-hmm. Henry got the ball, didn't know where to go with it because nobody was there for him. Got it, I think, out to Jaden Bradley, who then got it to KJ Lewis. And I'm thinking, call it. I'm not thinking it, but Damon's thinking, call a timeout. I'm just thinking, I hate it. Take me home. I want to go home. And Damon smartly, acutely says, where was the timeout there? And so I think it's moments like that, right? Laws of human nature. I think that's where Tommy might have got quote unquote exposed tonight, for his in-game adjustments and his lack of ability to be fluid with a game plan, I think, right? But I think Kelvin Sampson on the other half of that same coin really showed his veteran experience tonight, not letting Arizona just get out at home and force the pace and force the physicality the way they wanted to. So yes, I think Tommy Lloyd had some flaws exposed in this game. Nothing we have never seen before, unfortunately, right? But I don't think that he flopped, and I don't think that he got completely, exposed in this game. But I can't sit here and argue and say that Laws of Human Nature is completely incorrect.
But here's the problem, though, right? The problem is that it's the same things.
Yeah,
you can't. We haven't seen. It's not like it's a different thing that we have usually had problems with, or there's like it's other stuff coming about. It's the same problems that we see consistently, and I think that that's concerning.
I agree. I have no argument against that part because that is true. I just wanted to kind of like, me, I wanted to kind of pump the brakes on the hyperbolic stuff because
that's your role.
Yeah, I'm playing my role.
We all got a role to play here, and that's mine is to say outlandish things that may or may not get me in trouble.
Yes.
And your job is to then counteract that by, kind of suppressing that and being like, when Damon said he was going to set that building on fire, I'm pretty sure he was joking about it.
Yeah, I think he just meant his outfit was awesome that day, and he walked in there, he was just gonna like set the world aflame. I think he's just
trying to convey that he's angry. I don't think that he's actually going to commit an act of arson.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, Damon. And before we get to our next break on this podcast, I just wanted to wrap up this conversation by kind of talking to you a little bit more about like what went wrong in the last 5 minutes of this game for Arizona's offense, right? Because I think someone said it in the chat earlier, but also me and Damon were thinking it here. We kind of brought it up on the top of the show. Why did Arizona go away from all the beautiful ball movement? Why did Arizona go away from, not forcing the issue on offense, right? It feels like Arizona in these last moments of these games gets trapped into this play not to lose mentality as opposed to just playing to win like they were for 35 minutes of the game before.
It's like prevent defense in football.
But it's like offense, and it's like prevent offense.
Yeah, it is.
And it's so weird. Like how I maybe someone in the chat smarter than both of us can figure it out right now, because I don't know what's going on with Arizona in the last 5 minutes of these games, because they play so well for the majority of the game, and then they have these little stretches where they forget the game plans. Like they need a line, like they need a director offset to be like, hey, well, tell me who am I setting the screen for? No, it's like they don't know. Like, I'm sure they do know exactly what they're doing out there all the time.
I just think when teams ramp up the intensity, that they like struggle to kind of
But a
deal
team's
with
been
that.
playing here for a while, and
Yeah.
then they just take it up to here, like a K-State or a Houston.
And
That's a good
every
point.
possession is like the Super Bowl, basically. Like,
Yeah.
it feels like they're just all over the place. Everybody's brains are scrambled.
They go from
and-
the acceleration lane to onto the highway, and they're like, "Oh, there's a lot of cars on this highway right now.
Yeah.
Oh no!" But I think I do actually genuinely want to watch this game back and see what Houston was doing defensively to really slow down Arizona's sets in the second half of the second half. But it really has me worried, Damon. Like, tournament time, teams that are on the same level as Arizona and Houston are going to be all over them. And I don't think that Arizona is going to have any success deep in a tournament run unless they can figure out a go-to half-court offense. That's just my opinion, because the defense is championship level. And I said it to you. I said it to you earlier that when Arizona, they play such good defense, their offense lets them down. And you kind of said, well, it's not really football. It's not this. It's not two different units. But I'm saying it's almost worse when it's one unit, because you're the guy doing the work on defense. You should want to reward yourself by helping get an easy bucket on offense, right? Like, if you're KJ Lewis, I'm sure he doesn't actually feel this way, but there's a level of like, wow, I'm playing all-world defense on one end, and I can't buy a bucket on the other. And meanwhile, we're having a 5-minute stretch where I'm playing all-world defense and no one can get a bucket. I got a hurt wrist. What's y'all excuse? Like, I'm not saying that that's what KJ's attitude is, but when it has to be frustrating, right? When you're playing such good defense as a unit, and then on offense, you can't take the lid off the bucket. So I think Arizona has to find a way to reward itself, even when they're playing their most elite defense with good offense on the other end.
Arizona moves to 7-8, I believe, against quad one teams. We had someone tweet at us that. So if it's wrong, let's blame him and not me. But we're gonna talk about a little bit more of that, Kevin. But we got to first hit our last set of ad reads here on the AZ Wildcats postgame show. So let's do it. We're talking about our friends over at Sanderson Ford. I love Sanderson Ford. I love Broncos. That's where I'm all about the Ford Bronco. I'm so glad that they brought it back in the last 5 years or so. Just probably the best car on planet Earth, the dream car, as you would say. And the clock's ticking, Kevin, because Sanderson Ford's 48-hour President's Day sale is on now.
Woo-hoo.
It is. In celebration of Arizona being the 48th state in the union, they're doing a 48-hour sale there at Sanderson Ford. And that's one that you're not going to want to miss, because Sanderson Ford, they have the best deals. And not only that, they have the best people that work there. We went and hung out with them. Very family environment. They're big fans of PHNX and what we got going on over here at PHNX Sports. So yeah, save $4,800 on the 2024 Bronco Sport, plus get an additional $480 Visa gift card with every new vehicle purchase or lease. Everything is in the spirit of 48 for the great state 48-hour President's Day sale. I mean, how do you not love it, Kevin?
Do we know anybody turning 48 this year?
Not the dome, brother. These offers are with an additional 48-hour only sale. Discounts are valid now through Monday, President's Day. Sanderson is always closed on Sunday, so shop the 48-hour only sale with no hassle, no pressure, and no nonsense. Don't let time run out on the Sanderson Ford 48-hour President's Day sale. So they're not open tomorrow. You got to go in today if you want to take advantage of this deal.
Hey, it was an early tip. You got time.
Bronco Badlands offer includes 1,000 RBC, 1,750 RCC cash, 1,000 Jeep Open Conquest cash. You must qualify for a Visa gift card, not valid on AXZ or D plans or Raptor, Tremor trucks and specialty vehicles.
Well, once you get your new car, you're going to want to park it in your new garage, because you might be selling your home sometime soon and maybe looking for a new home. And when you do that, you're going to want to hit up Carol Roy's Realty Team. The Carol Roy's Realty Team is a family owned and operated with 3 generations of people serving the Valley of the Sun. Carol and her team have an unbeatable track record, having sold over 12,000 homes for people across the valley. They know the Arizona market better than anyone else. Choosing the right agent is a big decision, and too often you're left with doubts as to whether you made the right choice. While many agents kind of just give you mouth service, Carol Royce will give you written guarantees, y'all. That's a huge deal in this industry. You can rest easy knowing you're not just making the right choice, you're making a guaranteed one. Your home sold for 100% of the market value, or Carol will pay you the difference.
Say it again, Kevin.
So I just want to make it be clear that you can rest easy knowing that you're making a guaranteed choice, because once you make that, if your home is not sold for 100% of the market value, Carroll's going to pay you the difference, Damon Dog. So if you're considering selling your home in 2025, CarrollRoyceTeam.com is if you have questions or you just want to sell your home in general. That's CarrollRoyceTeam.com or 480-776-5231.
We appreciate everybody who's watching right now. Kyle, what are we sitting at with everybody on all platforms? What does that say?
43.
Nice. Make sure that should be 43 likes, right?
It should be.
That's the way I'm viewing it.
44 now.
We got 19 likes right now. Let's bump that number way up here, Kevin. Obviously, it was a rough game for the Wildcats, but that doesn't mean that we don't deserve your likes.
No.
And your appreciation and your subscribe, maybe, if you haven't done so already. Thank you to everybody in the chat who's contributing to the conversation. Tony, even you, brother, the craziest chat I've seen all night.
Honestly, though, hey, I do want to give Tony credit because a lot of people, I'm not even talking about people in our chat, just people in general on the internet, they just, no constructive criticism. Like it's just fair. Like, I hate you. I hate your pod. You're lame. Fair. You suck. Or this pod is awesome. I love your pod. Keep it up. Right. But it's never like, hey, I like your pod, but here's one thing I would do differently if I was running it. So I really genuinely do appreciate it. Like I disagree with it, but like I genuinely appreciate the sentiment. So thank you, Tony, for that constructive criticism.
I just want to make it very clear that using slang is that's not equating to drug dealing.
No,
I don't think that those things are on the same planet. But yes, we do appreciate your opinion, Tony, and thank you for the input.
Yes, indeed.
It is now time for us to talk to our friend Erika Day.
It's been a minute, huh?
It has been a minute because Erika was sick. We also
I was sick.
We didn't talk to her on one of the shows, right? Because she was like not really that much to talk about. Tommy didn't really give us a whole lot. So yeah, I mean, Erika, welcome on. How we doing?
So good. I just want to point out, do you see what's in my shot back here today? Do you see what that is back there?
Is that the Bill Walton chair?
It's the Bill Walton chair.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Cool, right? Isn't
That
it
is
just
cool.
Oh, sorry. I just had to tell you guys.
No, that's really cool. I mean, I was making rounds before the game. Obviously, Dave Pash, who is Bill Walton's, former partner, and they were such a great team together. And we lost Bill Walton, but we got his crazy 7-foot guy chair sitting right there, just so we can always remember him here at McHale Center. But and that'll lead me into my first question. Erika, I'll be honest. Kevin and I were watching the game, and we didn't think that the crowd was really that into it until late in the game. Is that a proper assessment, or how was it being in the building?
I would argue that the first 5 minutes of the game were the loudest first 5 minutes I've heard all season. But
I love it.
After that,
every time we ask Erika about the crowd, I love it. It's become our
listen,
thing.
I really think they did a good job today, but I will say that once they sat down, like, how they sit after everyone scores, I think it did get a little quieter in here. I will say this. There were a lot more empty seats in here than I thought there were going to be. The upper echelon, the tier 3 seats up there, I wouldn't say that they were a quarter empty, but probably like a sixth of the way empty, which to me, top 25 matchup, like we're talking like for the Big 12, like, I think especially Saturday at noon, like I understand it's Valentine's Day weekend, but like what could you possibly be doing at noon on a Saturday, dude? Like get it together and get to the McHale Center. That should have been your Valentine's Day date,
I'm with you totally. I saw some pictures. Saul was sending us some pictures of kind of the upper rafters / nosebleed area, and it wasn't exactly what I would consider ideal for a crowd for a number 6 versus number 13 matchup, in which the Big 12 title was almost essentially on the line today for Arizona. Houston 1 loss in conference and Arizona with 3. And Arizona with a big matchup against Baylor on a short turnaround here at Baylor, which is one of the toughest places to play in the entire country coming up. But Erika, so you were in the press conferences. What was your main takeaway, I guess, just initial thoughts from being in the building?
First and foremost, Tommy seemed pretty annoyed, and not for the usual reasons Tommy is annoyed. I think Tommy does pin it on his team. 9 times out of 10, he knows that at the end of the day, like, they put themselves in the position to win or lose the game.
Yeah.
But I think today he was pretty frustrated with some of the late officiating decisions, and it really came through in the press conference. I'm not sure how it was framed on the telecast, but KJ was supposed to be going up for shots. They told KJ he was going up for free throws. And then next thing you know, they review the play and suddenly Henry is going up for free throws. How that even happens is.
Oh. Seems like we lost Erika there for a second here.
We'll get her back on.
Yeah, we will
here.
get her back. Oh, Erika, hello?
Am I back?
You are
Hello?
back.
You're so back. Never been more back.
That was crazy.
You were talking about
but
the free
he was
throws,
just
but
frustrated.
yeah.
Yeah, and there was a foul right in front of the Arizona bench on KJ that didn't get called. There was
Yep.
fouls on,
We've been
that people
talking
were
about
fouling
that.
Henry. It wasn't getting called, and so Tommy was very explicit in saying, like, I'm not blaming the officiating. We put ourselves in this position, but there were just some head scratchers at the end that left everyone in the building kind of wondering, what the heck are we watching? And there's a big difference in having KJ Lewis go up for free throws and Henry Visar go up for free throws, and I'm not going to say that cost us the game, because I don't think that is the case, but I think the ending few minutes definitely changes course if that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I definitely thought there was some questionable calls going on, especially late in this game. It felt like those were calls that Houston should get at home, but when you're playing in McHale
Right.
Center, it's like, why are they getting all these 50-50 kind of iffy calls and not vice versa? That doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. But yeah, you don't oftentimes hear Tommy very, upset with the officiating after the game. He rarely ever even brings it up. So yeah, it's interesting that, today was really, what kind of
Pushed him over the
brought
edge
that
there?
out of him, because, and we were talking about this, like, Houston had their arms linked up on those final free throws at the end. I think it's just because this game felt like it was like a Elite Eight game. Like, this was for making the Final Four or something. And I think Tommy's expressing that a little bit in his post game, because I think typically Tommy has pretty good perspective when it comes to, like, this is a regular season game. It's one of, about 30 that we're going to play. Not that big of a deal. But I think that this one, and you can correct me if you disagree, Erika. You were obviously there and I wasn't, but definitely feels like the way that he's speaking on that is because he really wanted this one, and it felt like it was for big stakes.
For sure. I think the team, I'm not going to say feels like their chances at a Big 12 championship is absolutely gone, but it's definitely slimmer than it was 12 hours ago, and they're all well aware of that. And I don't think it's something we don't have clip of this, and I'm sorry. Caleb said this in the press conference though, and I should have included it. They all remember being 4-5 in the Bahamas. Very much so. They remember how it felt to be 4-5 in the Bahamas and come back with that extra chip on their shoulder and have to prove to not only the world, but quite literally Arizona fans that they should care about this basketball team again. And so I think that they're kind of not necessarily getting back to feeling like they felt at 4-5, but getting that chip on their shoulder back, and hopefully we maintain the gritty boy attitude to keep it that way. I think that that's really, really important for this team. Like, this is not the most talented offensive team that Tommy's had in his tenure here at Arizona, and it's never going to be in March, whether it's now or April and they're in the Final Four. They're never, ever going to be the best shooting team. They have to just want it more, and I've talked about that all year. You can go back to July, and you can see me talking about how they need to want it more, and it still holds true. They have to be the team that wants it more every time they step on the floor.
Yeah, we have a couple clips ready to go here now. Let's listen to Tommy Lloyd's opening thoughts following Arizona's 4-point loss to Houston.
I think they, had a little more certainty where they were going to get their shots from, and kind of hung with it a little bit better. I didn't love some of our possessions at the end of the game. They're obviously a great defensive team. You just have to have a little more wherewithal on offense. And then, I think, in critical stretch in that game, we get a lead. Down the stretch, you want to manage that a little bit better. And I thought we got Cryer 2 3-pointers in a row, and kind of later in possessions, it might have been a late ball screen. It might have ended up with a cross match situation. Just crazy things happen sometimes late in those possessions, and you can't give their best shooter a wide open 3-point shot. Especially at any time, but especially when you have a lead.
Erika, when you were in there for that, what did you take away from his opening statements? What did you think was most important overall? Like, what were your feelings on Tommy's attitude towards the loss there?
He thought the decisions that were made in those closing minutes were just as poor as we all thought they were, from the KJ3 to just some passes that were plain lazy. And just, he said this, listen, he doesn't care how many shots Caleb puts up. He doesn't care how many shots Caleb makes. He doesn't care how many shots Caleb misses. He cares about if Caleb's passes get tipped and if he's facilitating the ball well, and he did not do that today. And so those are the mistakes that he's talking about in that clip. Those are the mistakes that cost them this game, not the missed free throws, not the officiating, those mistakes early and halfway through the game.
And it wasn't it. I felt like he was actually doing a good job of facilitating to start the game. He comes out with those two beautiful assists. It just didn't carry throughout the game. Now he did finish with 7 assists, I believe, but it kind of does feel like counting numbers at that point.
5 turnovers.
Yeah, 5 turnovers, right? Because that's what I'm saying. It kind of feels like, a little bit of lip service almost, but with numbers. So I agree with Tommy there, but and I do think that it's good to know that at least the coaching staff is also not putting that also additional pressure on Caleb Love to make shots. It's about his overall addition to the game. But this was a game that was incredibly physical.
I want to ask Erika a question real quick because she brought something up. You mentioned Tommy wasn't a big fan of that KJ Lewis 3-pointer. Did anyone ask Tommy in the press conference why he didn't utilize his timeout in that situation?
Also, was anyone a fan of that shot at all?
No.
Was there a fan of the shot at all?
No.
No, and I actually think you guys are going to laugh so hard at the other Tommy clip that I have prepared for you today. I hope it brings a good chuckle and gets rid of all these nasty feelings we feel about this particular loss, because frankly, it's very funny. The way that Tommy's attitude shifts based on these games is so hilarious to me. He is the most unique coach in the country, and we are so lucky to have this man. But no, nobody asked him about the KJ shot. It was the most full I've ever seen the press conference, which is kind of weird. We played Iowa State and it was less full for that, which is weird to me. But yeah, it was very full and still, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, continue. Sorry, that was just my mental. I was like, that's the Houston, that's the program history of Houston coming through right there, because this is 2 historic programs matching up in the old Pueblo in one of the most historic spots in the nation. So I get why it was.
And
full,
he did say that also. No, Kelvin also did say that this is the basketball arena of the West. He compared it to Allen Fieldhouse, and if you hadn't asked me, I would have been able to tell you the name of Duke's place. God, and now I'm just,
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And so he compared it to that and said, like I said, it's that of the West, which is pretty sick. I gotta say. But yeah, no one asked about the KJ shot. It was just as ugly in person as it was, I'm sure, on TV. I'd have to go back and watch. It was like, we talk a lot about those no, yes shots. It was definitely just a no from the collective. You know what I mean?
Kevin was doing that the whole possession.
The whole possession, I was like, I hate it. I stop it. Please, I hate it. This sucks. I hate it.
You have a timeout in your pocket. You need points there, and you're down 4. You need points there. I don't understand why Tommy doesn't utilize that timeout. I feel like there are times as we get a beautiful shot of the maintenance crew walking some trash behind Erika.
Dang, I took a look at you for half a second. Man, missed it.
But yeah, there's I just I think it's unfortunate that I just feel like he lets the boys play a little bit too much sometimes. But yeah, we actually have another clip for you, and you were going to cue it up before I so rudely cut you off.
No, you're
Kevin,
good. Because I wanted to ask Tommy, because I'm not there, but Erika is. That's why we got Erika here. I wanted to ask Tommy about the physicality of the game, right? And so Erika, you did talk to Tommy about the physicality of this one, because it was an incredibly physical game. And I thought me and Damon talked about this earlier on the post game. I would love your thoughts too. I thought Arizona did a great job of beating Houston to the punch, literally, with the physicality standpoint in the first half. But in the second half, I think Houston made some adjustments to up their intensity and up their physicality. And I didn't think Arizona's players really met them where they were at in the second half, physicality wise. What did Tommy say, and how did you feel about that?
Well, first of all, big shouts to Tobe Awaka, who I said earlier in the day, I know that a lot of people feel like the game today from Tobe was a disappointment. I did not feel that way at all. I think Tobe was key in matching that physicality very early in the game, and did just that and made sure that they could not get what they wanted inside. And it was really, really hard for Houston at first. And I think that we are underestimating how hard it is to make things hard for a team as good as Houston. And Tommy said that. He also said that it's really hard to have a good offense against Houston. And so matching their physicality is really important. And they did that very well. I would say if this was women's basketball, they did it for the first 3 quarters of the game.
Yeah, that is well said. And we do have a clip on Tommy's thoughts about the physicality in this game. So let's roll the clip.
I mean, obviously, Houston's a great litmus test. See where we're at. And guys, I don't sit here every day saying all I think about is we got to be better than Houston. No, we want to play that way too, our own version of it. And I think we did in long stretches today. Okay, we just gotta figure out a way to play a little bit better offensively against a great defensive team. And I know I'm not the only head coach that's sitting here saying that. So they get a ton of credit. How long has Kelvin been there now?
10 years.
Okay. You know what? You know how long it took him to establish that? It takes a while. The stuff just doesn't happen overnight. You're building a culture. You know, and in this day and age, you know how hard it is to build a culture, to build a style of play when there's so many changes going on. So we're right. Arizona basketball is right where it should be. We're knocking on the door. We're not there yet, but we're going to be. We're going to be. We just got to keep plowing ahead. We got to keep plowing ahead. And that's going to be my focus, is just keep plowing ahead. And you know what? Next year, I want to be better than this year. But this year, I think this team's got a lot left in the tank. And I can't wait to see how they show up tomorrow for practice. And I can't wait to see how we go play at Baylor. Because you know what? You guys all think we're going to go get our ass kicked at Baylor. You guys do. You guys think we're going to get our ass kicked at Baylor because we're tired. We've been on a long stretch. We're going to play on the road game. Our heads are going to be down. Let's see what team shows up. We might get our ass kicked Monday. And then we got to keep moving. But we might not. I want to see what we have. I want to see what our guys are made of. I want to see how they respond. Our season's not going to be determined today by what happened, but how we respond might have a lot to do with where we go. And so, you know, win or lose today, we got to move forward.
That was cinema. That was awesome, right? I want to start with the first part of it before we get to the kind of crazy start. The hair was a little frazzled. Tommy Lloyd's losing a little bit of sleep, y'all. I don't know.
My jaw's on the floor.
I'm sorry it was so long, but literally Cohen and I were like, we can't cut any of this out. This is so good.
You did a great job
so
with that.
good.
Yeah. Shout out to our intern Cohen in Tucson, helping us out with this as well, doing great work. But I want to start with
follow Cohen.
Yes, follow Cohen.
I'm finding his out right now.
Yeah, someone get him in the chat. But Tommy Lloyd started out, I think, with a really beautiful take on how long it takes to build a program, especially in this day and age, right? With the transfer portal and the NIL of it all, it's hard to get guys that want to play Tommy Lloyd brand of basketball straight out of high school because they can go do it at any conference, any school in the nation for X amount of money, X amount of attention, right? So because I've been saying this all year, Tommy Lloyd is somewhat new to being a head coach still. Even though he's 3-4 years into it now, still somewhat new because he said it himself. How long's Kelvin been at Houston, right? Kind of trying to put people, you know, put the pitchforks down. You know what I'm saying? Put the burning torches down because it takes time to implement the kind of rigorous structure that Kelvin Sampson has done at Houston. And it was really interesting to see a vision into Tommy Lloyd's brain as to how he thinks about building a team there, because the way he talked about the time it takes, the players you have to bring in. And not only that, you have a different set of players every year. So you might have a way you want to play the game, but you might not be able to play the game that way based on the personnel that you have. And now I want to get into the second half of that answer, unless you have something to say about the first half.
I want to talk about the second half.
Because, oh boy, he was talking about, you know, you all think we're going to go get our ass kicked. And I was like, all right, Tommy, I didn't think that. I don't know. These two guys.
Why you got to attack
Erika,
us? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Dang,
Erika doesn't think that, I don't think.
I mean, I think that people I think what the thought process everyone has around that is just that, like, it's a tough turnaround against a very, very good team on the road.
You have like a day and a half of rest
against one of after playing the most physical team in the country, probably you're matching up with another physical team in what is known to be an extremely tough environment to play in. I think that that's more where people are at. And I don't think that it's disrespectful to think that. I think if Arizona loses to Baylor, I wouldn't be shocked at all. I mean, clearly Tommy wouldn't be either because he said, maybe we will get our ass kicked, which that was the part I hated the most about it. It's like, I'm fine with if you want to get a little testy and start pointing fingers a little bit and being like, Erika Day, you think we're getting our ass kicked?
Well, we're not.
but we're not going to. But
we're going to fight our ass off.
But then don't be like, maybe we will.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
Let's leave it up to fate and the 3-point gods. Who knows?
That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, no, I think it feels like he got a little worked up there.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like Tommy Lloyd, I'm not saying he regrets saying that, but I think that's a moment where you get a little worked up. You're like, you think we're probably going to get our ass kicked, and who knows, maybe we will.
Yeah.
And I think you probably, if you were a little calmer, you probably go, we're underdogs. No one thinks we can win against Baylor. It's going to be a hell of a game. We just had,
Can I
quick
just
turnaround.
I
Go
just
ahead.
have to tell you guys that answer was in response to our beloved ex-GM Saul Bookman himself. And so, if anything, he was yelling at Saul.
Yeah, that certainly adds a layer to it for sure. But I think
Saul Tommy beef.
yeah, some Saul Tommy
Man.
beef. Let's cook
Circa
up the oven.
February 2025. Circle the date, boys.
But yeah, no, I thought that was a really interesting answer on so many levels, because I feel like Tommy in that answer, he's not a guy that he might eventually, everyone, has their moments, but he's never really a guy that's going to lash out at the media. And so I think for him to lash out in the way that he did and pretty much tell people like, hey, I'm trying to do something here, trying to build a program here, have some patience. We're going to have some bumps in the roads. Bear with me. I know y'all don't got a lot of patience, but look how long Kelvin's been doing this. How many national titles does he have? Okay, you're not going to win one every year. That's fine. You know what I mean? And I think for him to fold that answer into we have a quick turnaround and we're the big underdogs here in our own city. Everyone thinks we're going to lose. And hell, we might. Who knows? But that's not what it's about. And I think that this was kind of Tommy, me reading into it, right? I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but I think this was a frustrated Tommy Lloyd trying to say, this was a hell of a game against a hell of a program. I'm proud of the way my guys played. We have stuff to iron out, some wrinkles to iron out. Tough game against Baylor, but give us some patience because I love what we're building here at Arizona.
I feel like also, and it goes to my earlier point of just that this game meant a lot to Tommy Lloyd clearly, and just Arizona in general. And I feel like you're seeing the effects of that with those answers, because that's him calling out the refs and doing that. Those are two things that you don't really see very often out of a Tommy Lloyd press conference. So yeah, I just think that the stakes were very high, and clearly he was wearing that on his sleeve a little bit. Erika, did you have anything else for us that was a must hit before we get you out of here?
No, thanks for letting me back on the show, you guys. And
Well,
Kevin,
then
you didn't kick me off not one time today.
Well, then wait. Hold on. I have something for Erika, actually.
Okay.
So last night, the men's basketball team got together and had a Brother Times celebration. And
I did the same thing last night.
It's been doing its rounds on social media. And I wanted to run this past Erika and see what she thinks about the spread of food here. And I don't know if you can really see it, but it's a ton of junk food. It's Takis, it's Doritos, it's all this. Now notice it's unopened. It's unopened, and I think most of it's for show. They probably just grabbed it out of Addison Arnold's cabinetry to do this photo, because there's like ice cream on the counter, which you would never have in a real scenario. You know what I mean?
Ever.
But I wanted to talk for two reasons about this. One, Erika, what did you think about it? Two, whose dog is that? And also the camaraderie. This is the Gritty Boys getting together on a Brother Times.
No, I woke up and that was literally the first thing I saw this morning was that Browentine's picture. And I was like, please inject this into my veins every day of the year. No, it's so cool to see them doing like little team bonding things, especially on their own. Okay. Any team can be forced to bond. Ask me how I know. Okay. And so the fact that they went out and did this shit on their own, sorry about that, Espo, if I wasn't supposed to say that, but the fact that they went out and did this on their own should tell you all you need to know.
I think we're in uncharted territory, but probably keep it clean anyway, but we're in uncharted territory.
Well, but also before we go, I do have one more thing to say before we go. Okay, but yeah, seriously though, it was so cool to see, and I think it's just it goes to show that the Gritty Boys is on the court and off the court, and we vibe with that. Also, the junk food. I saw my literal friend this morning commenting on Barstool Arizona's post about it, being like, all that junk food, we'll see how that bears well for them during game day. I had to be like, oh no, you're right, Gabe. Oh no,
but the people that are complaining about that are like correct on a foundational level of like, you should be taking better care of your body.
But we have no idea how much they ate.
That's what I'm saying. Like all the bags are unopened, untouched. Like they all know they got a game tomorrow, and guess what? Not all the guys in that photo played in today's game. So maybe some of them were snacking more than others. What?
Maybe Jackson
Crazy
Francois
options
ate
here.
all the gummy bears. Oh,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but before you let me go, please, I just got a mic drop real quick. Okay, tomorrow, 2 p.m., Arizona women's basketball takes on Sedona Prince, Haley Van Lith, Madison Connor. We should all be very familiar with Madison Connor, the Arizona local. Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, there's gonna be one full section of just Madison Connor's family. So if you're not gonna show up and show out, do not ever talk to me again. This is the most important game of the year as far as I'm concerned. I've literally been yelling at Kevin, at Cohen, at the entire sports staff about this game for so long. Yes, exactly, Edgar.
Hey,
I'm
real
not going
talk.
to say
No, I was
what
about to
Edgar
say it.
said in
Edgar
the
jumped on it. Real
comments.
talk. Lock her up.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even. That's
I'm
not even like a
say what
meme.
Edgar
Lock
said.
her up.
But
Lock
for real,
her
all I'm
up.
saying is we cannot let this girl just walk up in here and abuse our girls after all the other abuse that she has dropped worldwide. Do you know what I'm saying?
Disgusting person she is. Oh my god. And hey, and and everybody knows. Like I'm not the one to come on here and personally attack nobody ever.
That's my
his
role.
jab. Like, that's his thing. I would never do that.
Stealing my
but
whole flow,
when you
Kevin.
cross from Hooper to criminal, now we're in a different zone. Now we're in a different zone.
Bark. Oh,
Yeah,
y'all
so
got me.
I'll never criticize, any basketball player for personal stuff for no reason. But when you give us reasons, this is crazy. Lock her up on and off the court. That's all I'm saying.
The way
Might
I had
drop
Kevin
myself.
so bamboozled when I was texting him all of this information, he's like, "What?" I'm like, "You have no idea that this is happening."
I went after and watched a 40-minute TikTok review. Like I went on YouTube, someone that compiled all the evidence, did a beautiful documentary style situation on it. There's a lot, and there's a lot of humans involved in this, so it's a lot. It's a lot.
Well,
and again,
Erika,
Maddie Connor, people, that's really what is important here. Okay, leading 3-point shooter in the country, ex-Arizona Wildcat. Bring your rear end to the McHale Center. Be there, be square. Thank you very much. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Erika Day.
Thanks, Erika. Like
Hell of
she
a
said,
segment.
show up 2 p.m. tomorrow at McHale Center. Arizona women's basketball takes on number 11 TCU. Going to be a big matchup and potentially a huge win for the Lady Cats there. But thank you, Erika. We appreciate you. Follow her at Erika Lee Day on Twitter. That's LEA, no H. And follow our guy Cohen. I found his elusive Twitter account so that we can shout him out. Follow our intern Cohen. He's a good dude. He's a Arizona student currently. So that is at Cohen Kinney. That is CoenKinney. So follow Cohen. He's doing a lot of good work for us, and we appreciate him. Thank you so much, Erika. And real quick before we get out of here, tell me about that jacket real quick, because that thing looks fire.
Do you like it? It's
I
nice.
do.
That thing goes hard.
It's like race car vibes. I'm
It's
wearing
very-
that to the Phoenix Raceway.
Ooh.
Okay,
little
wait,
crossover.
stop.
She might
Can
be
I
going to
please
the Phoenix
come?
Raceway.
I want to go to the Phoenix Raceway.
Yeah.
Ah,
Let's do it.
I love
Let's
the
do
Phoenix
it.
Raceway. I've been there like 3 times. I would love to go back a 4th time. You know what I mean?
I think you got to wear that jacket if you go out, because that's a racing jacket right there.
Yeah, vroom.
It gets a little hot at the Phoenix
will.
Raceway, though, you know?
It'll get really hot out there. But yes, thank
Gotta
you,
bring
Erika.
it back up fit.
We will. It was nice having you back on the show. It was nice having you back
Thanks,
on.
guys.
It's been too long. So yeah, we appreciate you. And until next time.
See you soon, guys.
Peace. Well, Damon, that was a hell of a segment from Erika Day there. A lot of information to deal with. We got a fired up Tommy Lloyd.
We did.
I want to talk about something that you brought up and alluded to, because I think it was a really smart point that ironically I brought up on our last show. So we're kind of just tandeming here. You know what I'm saying? So Tommy Lloyd, I brought up, he's a competitive dude. You think he forgot about that Houston game where they lost 72-60? You think that's not been digging right here in the side of his craw for, I don't know how many months it's been since then. My Midwest kind of came out there for a second. But, I think that, you're right. Tommy Lloyd probably had this game mentally circled, whether he told a single soul outside of his own body. This game was something that he really probably really wanted for himself. And didn't happen the way that I'm sure he woke up this morning and imagined it happening. But I think we did get a more fired up Tommy Lloyd as a direct result of that. I think that was a good take by you. But I was pretty taken back by that Tommy Lloyd clip for sure. I was pretty taken back by that one. I'm fired up by it, but I was pretty taken back by it.
Yep. And Arizona has a very tough matchup on Monday, Kevin. And of course, we will have you locked and loaded with a post-game show for that one as Arizona takes on Baylor, who's actually probably, I'd say, Baylor is like the epitome of the Big 12, right? They're unranked, but if they were in any other conference, I'm pretty sure they'd be ranked.
Probably.
So
Big 10? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's just the nature of the beast here in the Big 12. But Arizona kind of lets its Big 12 title chances slip away in this one, Kevin. Going to take a lot of
like sand through their hands.
Going to need some help moving forward if you want to get back into that race. But we're going to be there every step of the way, win or lose, and that's what we do here. Follow me at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. Follow my guy Kevin at Kevo Post. That's KEVOPOSTS. Follow Kyle Cooper. Kyle, is it just Kyle Cooper?
Is it K-Coop Sports?
K-Coop Sports. That's
Come
right.
on,
Yep.
bro.
Yeah, I know
Was
that.
I right?
I knew that.
Was I right?
Yeah, it is.
All right. See, I know my guy.
K-Coop Sports. Follow him. We appreciate you, Kyle. Thanks for helping out, letting Kevin get a little bit of in front of the camera time.
Hi.
And it's a big one, like we've talked about when
Yeah.
Kevin's on screen here with me. Good to have you. Good to have you over here.
Bro, it's great to be here, man.
I'll miss it when you go back to the behind the Mac there in the next show. But yeah, that was this was the PHNX Wildcats post-game show, AZ Wildcats post-game show. Follow us at PHNX_Wildcats. Follow at PHNX_sports. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. Like this video. 29 likes. Not enough, Kevin. We need 50.
It's not enough. Just kidding. Forget that. Who's calling my phone? That was what? That was a little Kendrick. And then I was like, nah, forget that. We got to go to the Drake. I made a Kendrick reference and then immediately checked myself. I can't do that no more. It's outdated.
Until next time, everybody have a good one and bear down.
We all silly like the mayor.